Alright, hello, hello. We are live. Um, bloop. Alright. So, I'm gonna hang out for just a little bit. Wait for some more people to trickle in. But I got everything I got everything mostly set up. Good morning. Not according to my clock. One of my clocks, actually. I put out my 30-minute notice exactly 30 minutes ago, and my phone says it's 9:30. My computer says it's 9:26 though. So, that's fun. All right, let me see. It's probably good. I'm gonna get the camera back set up. There it is. All right, that should be good there. And now, so either YouTube's changed its layout, or my window's in a weird shape that is forcing it to change its layout. But my little thing that says how many people are in is too far down. I've got my own stream pulled up, right? But the little thing saying how many people are in stream is way down, so I have to scroll down, and I don't like that. Because I do like to watch that, even though everyone says not to. I just think it's neat. Alright, yeah, that's set up. Okay. Let's move over to here. Get that out of the way. Alright. Well, okay. My description's not over there either. Give me... Where is... Yeah, so it's right under the title, right? The title is below the chat box, though. It's weird. Oh, I don't know about in OBS. I don't see anything on this side. So I don't know where that is. Regardless. Look, I actually have my tools out today. I have my tools out. I got the Gunpla out. taking the instructions out too, but there they are. I got my breakfast with me, my energy drink, because that's good breakfast. Ooh. Should have made tea. It's the best, isn't it? Okay. So we got torso done. We got head done. We got arms done. So today, with any luck, we'll have all the leggy done. And all the weapon done. Granola bar's probably a better breakfast. I need to consider, not just consider, I need to get a hold of some protein bar, granola bar, stuff like that to have on hand for, today. Or I didn't really have time to make something. But yeah, these guys shouldn't be too difficult to put together once we get there. They're usually, made from what, 2 pieces? On high grades, they tend to be, 2 or 3 pieces. Yeah, the MMP 80 looks like it's exactly 2 pieces. The Heat Hawk is just 1 casting. Makes sense. So that shouldn't be too bad once we get to that. I need to watch the series still. Okay. Ooh. Look, actually, this is the page talking about how to attach all the weapons. I love these. These are still some of my favorites. Alright. But where am I in here? Okay. It's head, arms, that's legs. Okay. We are right in here. Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. So I'll probably just need to stick to good granola bar. I like, what is it? I think they're Nature Valley, the Nature Valley Chewy bars. The ones that are like peanuts. Those are really good. I also really liked, again, it was a Nature Valley. They have this granola bar that's thin and very hard. And I always liked that. I liked to take those camping, but they would also crumble. So not actually the best for camping because they'd crumble. But I like those. So, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's see here. What is it? What is it telling me to do there? Yeah, I think that's right. I think they're just crunchy bars. And it is an apt name because they are crunchy bars. I've been listening to music lately. Yep. End of story. No, so oh, I don't remember the album now. It's one of the albums. I sat down and listened through one of the Metallica albums finally. Metallica's great. Speaking of Metallica, though, oh my gosh. So I. It was the same day, even. That's hilarious. I sat down and listened to the whole album. I went to, I booted up Fortnite and went to the shop, checked what they have in the shop, right? So, Master of Puppets is an emote in Fortnite. So I saw that and went, oh, well, I need that. And it's great because it's one of the ones that other people can, like, join you in. And they fill in the rest of the band. And it's great. I just wish it was the full song instead of, like, a single bar from it. But also, it'd kind of be ridiculous if it was the whole song, I guess. Also, they don't actually play it right. They're just kind of doing things on the instrument, but they're not actually playing. I don't think they're playing right anyway. Alright. What is it teaching me to do there? What does it want me to do there? Is it just showing me that the eyes move? Oh well. It's gonna have me start with the feet next, looks like. Yeah. So my D runner PC. Well, recent. I don't know enough about Metallica to know it's super recent. I've listened to Master of Puppets. I like oh, what's the title? Anywhere I Roam, I believe it is. Or Wherever I Roam. It's something along those lines. That one's fantastic. Nothing Else Matters. But like I haven't actually listened to a whole ton of other stuff. D, where is D? So I need those. Oh, there it is. It's these runners. So I'm gonna need both actually, because I need to clip out both feet parts. That's sad. They should play more classics. Classics are some of the better ones. Well, there goes my knife. Three. Three is this one. This one. Oh, that came off really easy. These are so pleasant, by the way. Like, I already mentioned that they're like rubberized pieces, but they just feel so nice. Alright. And now we need... Yeah, it's these two. 16... Is it? No, it's these two. 17, 16. Yeah, it's these two. Ugh. You know what they should play on the rock station? They should play Guns N' Roses. Should play all the old Guns N' Roses. All the stuff that people actually listen to from Guns N' Roses, which is all on their one album. It's their best album. I also sat down and listened through again, I don't remember which albums they were exactly, but I listened through I think two different albums from Foo Fighters. Sweet Child of Mine is good. Yeah, so like all of their well-known ones, Sweet Child of Mine, Mr. Brownstone, and Paradise City are like top some of their top songs. 2000 style rock is actually, isn't that more Foo Fighters? Come to think of it, they started 90s. What is it? I think it was 91 was their first album, but they really move on into the more 2000s era stuff. Evanescence. What even is Evanescence? I don't think that counts as rock. Yeah, that makes sense. Foo Fighters. I would expect to hear some Green Day in there too. I think technically Green Day's punk, but that doesn't feel like rock. That doesn't feel right to me. Like, that just doesn't feel right. I guess it's rock. I guess that makes sense. Man, that just doesn't feel right. I don't know if that bothers me. Uh, it is, and it doesn't help with just its age because you get everything from like I've brought this up before, right? Guns N' Roses is rock and roll, right? Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, a lot of people think of like that. Bon Jovi. Elvis Presley was the king of rock and roll. That is a very different vibe. That's interesting when the radio station switches between Metallica, Elvis style rock, and Linkin Park. Yep, that is exactly, yeah. Which I think is rockabilly. I might be wrong about that. I might be very wrong about that, but I think that's the term for like the Elvis era rock, which is great stuff. It really is. It's fantastic. I need to listen to more of it. But man, is it a different vibe from stuff that came out later. Also, Metallica's metal. Metallica's not rock. I like Metallica though. I need to listen to more Metallica. Well, unfortunately, the stuff that you'd call pop is considered rock. I think that's what is it? Uh Progressive rock? I think that's I don't like progressive rock. I don't know what Foo Fighters is at all. I have no idea what they count as within the like the rock subgenres. I really don't know what they're considered. And again, Green Day, I think, is technically punk. I've heard people call them punk, and I have to admit, I haven't like listened to any Green Day. I have like vehemently opposed listening to Green Day because I feel like Green Day killed rock, but maybe I should sit down and actually listen to it sometime. Just pick an album and listen, just like I did with Foo Fighters. Yeah, that's not rock. Um, Synth does not belong in rock. Well, okay, that's not completely true because a lot of rock uses like keyboard, synthesizer noises. So that belongs in rock, but like synth, that's a different genre at that point. That's not rock. Rock is about the instrumentals. It's about those chord progressions. It's not about synth. Oh, yeah. At least Taylor Swift has some country in her, but yeah. Man, was it Taylor Swift? I think it was Taylor Swift that some article, I forget which publication it was, but an article tried to make some claim that like she's, gosh, it hurts to say. They were like comparing her to Van Halen. I'm like, yeah, that's ridiculous. Just on its own, it's such a ridiculous statement to ever compare her to Van Halen. But their point was like something like, oh, she inspired people to pick up guitar. So she's like the modern Van Halen. And it's like, yeah, no, she doesn't. No, she didn't. That's not. No. It's like, sure, she might have inspired people to pick it up, but she doesn't actually even play guitar in her performances. It's a prop. That's not. That is. Ooh, I'm like offended to have them try to make that claim. Like, you've literally tried to put her on the same level of one of the greatest rock legends on the guitar because some people picked up the acoustic after she performed. That's not. That is not the same thing at all. Also, Van Halen's very good. Oh, Van Halen's fantastic. There's a reason he is one of the rock legends. Today's gonna be a day, I can tell. Developed a distaste for Taylor Swift because she has a everyone hates me because I'm a woman mentality. Does she really? I haven't seen that. I mean, I don't follow anything she does. Um, oh, I almost just said something. I wanted to say something as a joke, but people would take it seriously. Something about women and music. I haven't seen any of the interviews. That's interesting. I really doubt that. Well, okay, so you know what? I think that's probably partially true, but I think the other kicker is the only reason people like her is because she's a woman, too. So, oof. Yeah, like what? The fact that she's like a poser sellout? Because, like, every single rock band ever has gotten that? Do people actually say that, by the way? I don't know if they say that about Taylor Swift. Yeah, basically that. Yeah, it checks out. It makes me wonder though what people said about uh Joan Jett, I think it was. Her writing too many breakup songs. Okay, so to be fair, I don't think I've seen a man write too many breakup songs in the first place. So she might technically have a point there, but it's like, yeah, the only reason that's a point is because you do it too much. It's fair criticism. I'd make some jab about her relationships, but I'm actually not going to because I think that's mean. Really, I think pop singers in general have way too many breakup songs. People do make fun of Eminem for writing about his mom too much. That's a fair point. They do. They really do. I have seen that. That's mildly different. but it's not that different. Yeah, the easiest way to deal with that one is to just not write so many breakup songs. Simple. She does actually like write her own music though, right? Because I can respect that at least. A lot of people don't write their own music anymore. It's just, it's just a record label. That's why I don't like pop. It's just manufactured, spat out garbage. None of it's actual music. It's just sounds. It's all fabricated. It's all corporate. I say as I listen to anime music, which is exactly the same thing, but I digress. Well, that's not completely fair. Anime music has more soul to it than modern pop does. Because they have artists that still care even if they're doing it for a paycheck. That's actually something I like about a lot of Japanese industry, and obviously not everyone is going to be like that within the industry. I shouldn't even have to preface that, but like a lot of Japanese industry, it's a lot of people that genuinely care. Like even if it's paid for, even if it's manufactured, whatever, a lot of the people working on it still really care. That's why they're there in the first place. So you still get a lot of really good stuff on average that comes out of it. Man, that can segue into a dangerous territory though about modern anime versus older anime. Because I hate that argument. Because I think everyone's wrong. So it's an annoying argument, right? Because I think so. I like older anime better. I think '90s era anime is the peak of anime, right? I think '90s anime people are obnoxious though because they go, "Oh yeah, anime was so much better back in the day because it didn't have it's." Nowadays, it's all like big booby moe waifu nonsense, and I'm like, dude, that was in '90s anime too. Like that stuff was started in '90s anime. Like for crying out loud, like lolicon stuff started in '90s anime. Technically older, but like some of our early examples of those types of characters are actually Puru from Gundam, and I'm ashamed by that. But so like yeah, fan service was a thing in '90s anime. Fan service was a thing later than '90s. Faye Valentine for like big booby waifu characters. Faye Valentine. Um, like I like a lot of it better, but that stuff was still there. And it's not like every single modern anime either. I mean, I see people throw things at Chainsaw Man because there's some sexual content. Not sex. That's not the right word. There's suggestive, but like there's a lot to break down with Chainsaw Man. That'd have to be like an entire video to really talk about that. It serves a point. The point that Denji's an idiot. It's whole arguments about whether or not that series has fan service in it too, and I'm like, so I've seen like 3 episodes, 4 episodes, so I'm not actually gonna comment on it, but I do actually agree with the Chainsaw Man fans that like, um, sexualized content on its own does not make it fan service. I actually hate when people try to pull that of like, oh, it's fan service because there was underwear in the shot or something. It's like that stuff can exist for narrative reason. And if it's there for narrative reason, it's not fan service by definition. Fan service is gratuitous use of that kind of stuff. That's what it is. So, does Chainsaw Man have no fan service? I severely doubt that. But it's not like a fan service harem show just because the dude gets horny. That's not how that works. Mushoku Tensei has some fan service. Mushoku Tensei is still very good. However, but yeah, that argument annoys me. I think both people are wrong, and I hate too when people try to claim that you're cherry picking because whatever, right? So here's the thing about that, because that's the thing I see from modern people. It's like, oh, there was bad anime back in the day too. You're just cherry picking. Yes, because having an entire group of classics come out between 96 and 97 is cherry picking when your examples of good anime are spread out between 20 years and don't even compare to the volume of stuff that came out between 1996 and 1997 alone. I don't think you can make that claim. Like, at the very least, your cherry picking is much stronger. There's a lot. Just the volume of garbage that comes out with modern anime is much higher. You get a lot more passionate individuals heading projects when you're looking at stuff really pre 90s. I think the real downward spiral comes in around. Because we had some really great stuff that came out in the early 2000s as well. Moving on to, like, we've got some classics from, like, 2016. All right. But last couple years have been meh. Oh, you know, a great example of how, like, a lot of the 90s fans are wrong too? Bocchi. Bocchi the Rock. Of course, that's going to be one of my go-tos because that's one of my favorites. Bocchi the Rock came out, what, last year? 2 years ago? Whatever? I don't know now. Anime, specifically, not including the manga. I'm not sure when that came out. Bocchi the Rock is phenomenal. Bocchi the Rock is absolutely amazing. Bocchi the Rock is not, oh, big booby moe waifu garbage fan service. That's not what it is. But, like, the obnoxious 90s fans will be like, oh, that's all modern anime. That's all it all is. I think we have too much moe stuff, though, personally. I think that's almost fair. But I like more serious writing, and I don't think we get that enough. Even when stuff tries to be serious, it doesn't go hard enough. Chainsaw Man seems really good, though. Again, I haven't finished the first season. I'm pretty sure the first season's done. I haven't finished it, so I'm reserving some statements, but Chainsaw Man was really good from what I watched. But I don't think we get enough stuff like Gunslinger Girl, for instance. I don't think we really get stuff like that anymore. And I use Gunslinger Girl as a specific example because we got Lycoris Recoil. And Lycoris Recoil does not compare. Lycoris Recoil had an idea and then didn't commit to it. And instead made it about the dynamic of its girls instead of the harsh, cold reality that they're kidnapping orphaned children and turning them into mindless killing machines at very young ages, which is very disturbing, and they just gloss over that. Or at the very least, they glossed over it within the first, 3-4 episodes, so, I watched far more of that than I cared to have pretty much nothing happen. And I think I was told, too, it doesn't, really start until, episode 6. And something should not waste my time for 6 episodes before it starts rolling. 2 or 3 episodes? Maybe. I think Madoka was episode 3, where they really got the ball rolling. But even before that, they were putting the pieces down. They didn't just drop you in at episode 3 and be like, okay, now it's suddenly serious. They kind of did, but they were always alluding to something. Anyway, yeah, that's a dangerous conversation, especially because people really like Lycra's Recoil. We're getting it in Weiss in English. We got it. The JP came out a while, but it's coming out in English. And I'm probably am gonna build a deck for it because I'm never gonna get my Gunslinger Girl set. That is far too old to be relevant at this point. I'm never gonna get a Gunslinger Girl set. I'm never gonna get a Girls Frontline set. I, too, want Project Sekai in English. I really don't think that'll happen. Yeah, someone tried to tell me that, like, Love Live didn't do well in the West, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it did, considering that it was an otaku icon. um, I don't know who you have to sue for that, actually. I was gonna say sue Krypton, but, like, Love Live, yeah, no, Love Live was an icon for a really long time until they put out this is not true, but until they put out Love Live Sunshine and it killed Love Live. Again, not actually true at all. Like not even remotely true. But he was saying something about that's why we don't have like the other sets in English, and I'm like, no, like Love Live did really well. Love Live kind of fell off. Yeah, people still really like Love Live. Love Live fell off specifically because they ruined their monetization system for the games. And I said that to him with the game. I'm like, I'm mad that I'm pretty sure they shut the game down. And I was telling him I'm really mad about it because they had one of the best rhythm games in the world, and the only reason they ended up shutting it down was because they ruined their monetization system, and so people left. I was like, yeah, I'm inclined to believe you, but also you're super opinionated. And I'm like, no, that's fact. It's not, that's not an opinion at all. That's literally, like, go look at reviews for the game. They're all glowing until they switched up their monetization system, and then everyone left. The game tanked. The game was massively negative reviewed after the monetization shift. It dropped off in players after the monetization shift, and then they shut it down for it. It is entirely their fault. And it was stupid, too. I mean, the thing had run its course. I'm going to be completely honest. Love Live had run its course. The original mobile game, what else were they going to do with it? There was no new music to add. You know, Mew's story is over. The new girls had their own game. And, like, they still put their music in there, but the game had kind of run its course. There was nothing more for them to do with it. So what did they think they needed to do with it? Milk as much money out of it for the last couple years as they could. And that's why they changed up the monetization system. Mind you, it's the exact same monetization system they use in the other game, but I hate it even there. It's a really, really bad system. It is the most predatory gacha system I've ever seen. People say Genshin is bad. They haven't played Love Live. Or they didn't play Love Live after the monetization shift. Well, okay, even before the monetization shift, it wasn't great because you had like the event-specific girls, and it's like, oh, during the event you have like a 5% drop rate. After the event, you have like a 0.000. So it made it very difficult for a really long time to idolize characters until they released that like stamp system. Yo, hi Nani. Good morning. Why are we stuck? What are we doing? Nani, we need to go fishing again. I have stuff to show you. And by stuff I mean purchases from the cash shop. The Pearl Shop, I guess. But yeah, what are we stuck on? Oh no. That's not your fault though, right? Oh, I've been complaining about anime. Actually, I was complaining about how they broke Love Live, and I was complaining about how my friend was like, uh, oof. How did Wen turn to egged? Wait, it's all egg? Nani the broke. Nani the broken. Nani the broke doesn't have the right sound to it, for this context. The 2K phone can't type, checks out. My 2K phone can't survive. It's broken. I need to get it fixed. I'm pretty sure it's just the screen. I had an S22 Ultra. I don't think, was it actually a 2K? I think it was 2K. Punished Nani. Punished for buying 2K phone. $22 was 12. That might be right. I really don't remember what we got it for. It was still new when I got it too. I thought it was 2, but why do we pay so much for phones? Because they charge it. Yeah, phones are too much. The thing that annoys me with phones too is they want you to change phones like every year. So it's like if it was a $2,000 investment for a phone that I would continue to use for like the next 6 years, whatever, they want me to change it every year. And that's just absurd. I'm not doing that. I'll run that phone in the ground before I change it. Yeah, I would say the cell phone market is worse than gotcha games. Oh yeah, but we were complaining about Love Live destroying their monetization scheme, leading to an exodus of players that ultimately killed the game. We were complaining about the argument between old versus new anime because I think both sides are wrong and it's ridiculous. Old anime fans are wrong that everything's just moe, big booby, garbage trash, but new fans are wrong that they're just cherry picking the stuff that they want to use as examples. Um, I think that's a summary of the argument. Yeah, I don't think it's cherry picking because yes, was there some bad stuff that came out? Yeah, but we're comparing the good stuff to the good stuff, and the good stuff from back in the day is leagues better than the good stuff from now. So that's not cherry picking. Also, it all released. If you look at a lot of the classics, you'll notice that they all released within like 96 to 97. Like it's all condensed time periods that all this stuff released in, just rather than all of our classics releasing within 20 years, which is what we've got right now. It's very clear to see that there is a drought of good content. I don't think it's even a drought of good content. I think the actual issue is mass production. It's a lot more mass production than it was at the time for a variety of different reasons, which results in a lot more trash coming out. Even stuff that should be good ends up being trash too, because sometimes that mass production results in really, really cheap animation that turns a potentially very, very good series into absolute trash. What was one I was looking at? I'm trying to remember. There was one I was looking at recently where I'm like, wow, this would be really cool if the animation didn't suck. What was it? Oh, you know what it was? Actually, I take it back because, like, okay, so I only watched one episode, right? But man, the animation was awful. It was the new BlackRock shooter series, Dawnfall, I think it was. That animation's awful. That is some of the worst animation I've ever seen. It's genuinely terrible. Everything's bad CG, except when it's not, and then it's bad stills. And sometimes it's bad CGs and bad stills at the same time. Like, so not only are they not picking a style and keeping with it, they're both bad. Unlike the Magnificent Kotobuki, which both was great, but they needed to pick a style. Yeah. BlackRock Shooter. Yeah, I don't. So. Oh gosh, Handshakers. Oh no. Bad name, bad animation, bad concept. Oh my gosh, Handshakers is a thing. Handshakers is an experience that I do not wish on anyone. I'm making the feet right now, by the way. Too much motion. Yeah. Yeah, that studio's still around and they're still doing stuff that still looks just as bad. I don't know what's up with them. They're not my feet, it's the Zaku's feet. My feet are scaly. I should show off my feet sometimes because art. I'm gonna leave that alone before I make it worse. Okay. That's good. Yeah, but then my argument with the other side, uh, yeah, so okay, I have to admit, I don't think I watched more than the first episode of Handshakers, but a lot of that was a combination of like the animation being ridiculous and taking one look at the concept and going, "This is the stupidest idea ever. There is nowhere they can take this that I won't think this is stupid." So I was like, "Yeah, good." I think I actually finished that whole first episode, but like adding to the issues with it, I can't tell you what happened in it at all. I just remember it looked really, really bad animation wise, and there was some stupid plot that I really don't remember what happened. I like cannot tell you. Kind of like, another thing, this is on a different level, mind you, but another thing I similarly, I watched a lot of, actually, and can't tell you what happened in it. Vivid Dread Operation. I watched, like, 7 episodes of that. I thought I watched 3. And I looked back at it recently, and I'm like, first of all, how? Second of all, why? This was awful. This was like really, really bad. Why did I watch 7 episodes of this? I can't tell you. I didn't even realize I watched that many. And I really can't tell you what happened because I only remember the events of like 3 episodes. So, like, that was a waste of time. The Asterisk War. Asterisk War is really bad. You know what? The Asterisk War's animation, though, is not as bad as. I don't remember what it was called. It was a dumb light novel name. Something about like for okay, I think it was something along the lines of like, for my daughter I'd even fight a demon lord or something, or the demon lord. Awful. Awful story, awful characters, animation. That's the one, Clipsy. You'll remember that's the one where in the and yeah, you know, the opening where he has like 3-frame head turn. It's so bad. It's so bad. I need to like make a gif of it just to show people like it's so bad. So that show is just awful. And the character, oh my gosh, that dude jumps between like being like, oh, there's like an episode where he's like, I'm sweet man, I'm cold and brutal, I'm sweet man. And I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I, it's just, oh my gosh. And of course, he looks like a generic protagonist too, so it's like, you don't even look edgy enough to pull this off. You just don't. Oh my gosh, it's like they were trying to do something that I'm trying to write, except I'm gonna write it better. It's gonna take like 10 chapters to soften him. Um, there might have been. I don't. Okay, I don't actually remember fan service specifically of the 6-year-old, but get this. Apparently, in the light novel, the two end up in a relationship. After he raises her to like probably I would assume teenage years, they end up being a couple instead of a dad-daughter relationship. So Usagi drop all over again. Wowee indeed. I hate that. And you know what is annoying too? Like technically I've seen like people sit here and be like, "Oh, it's fine if the writer wants to write whatever." There's a whole argument. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, right? If the writer writes it, whatever. I'm not gonna, hang him for writing it. I don't care that much. I just think it ruins the story, and I'm allowed to think it ruins the story. I'm allowed to think it's weird, and I'm just, not gonna watch it, right? I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna read it, and I think that should be the end of it. But don't come at me for saying it's weird. Because it is. Oh, I hate it. I'm not reading that. Yeah. I just can't imagine. Hey, actually, another. A Western story that has the same problem, but also it's glossed over? Have you ever watched Highlander? The Highlander? Is it the Highlander or Highlander? I think it's Highlander. Have you ever watched Highlander? Because there's this really interesting thing in Highlander, where um, Highlander's about a Highlander that's immortal. Long story, very very short. That's a terrible summary of Highlander. But so there's this interesting thing. He fought through World War II, and there was this little girl that's abandoned in World War II on the battlefield. So he takes her in, right? And then it's kind of implied that they had a romantic relationship later on in their um in her life, in their life later on after she got older. She's old by the time the story starts, by the way, because the story takes place probably when it came out, I would assume. And I'm not sure when that is, but like later, right? So she's old by that point, and it's like there's multiple levels of wow, this is terrible, because not only is there like heavy implication that he took in this child, then had a romantic relationship with her once he raised her, which is already weird. But then he's leaving her now that she's old for someone else. It's that's the worst part of Highlander. That's the worst part of Highlander, and the fact that like it's it's not even like they gloss over it. It's not like part of the story. It's like, oh my gosh, it just Oh. Suffer like I did, Nani. Anyways. Yeah, it's... Yeah. Suffer like G did. So I liked Highlander, by the way, except for that part of Highlander. That part made me uncomfortable. That part felt like, that part felt very toxic. I don't know how else to say it. Honestly, it did. It just did not sit well with me. Like, I do think, though, um, I think there's, like, an interesting area to explore when it comes to relationship dynamics with immortal beings. Or humans that gained immortality, I think is more fair. Because if you're dealing with just immortal beings, like, there's so many places to go with that. But, like, normal human who becomes immortal. I think there's a lot of potentially really interesting dynamics to explore there when it comes to how they view and handle relationships. Um, because they're like they're gonna grow and develop over time, like anybody else, and they have a very, very, very long time to do it. Like, I imagine personally that at a certain point, everyone's gonna start looking like a child to the immortal being, which then brings in how do they approach relationships from there? Does everything feel wrong to them? Do they just stop? Can't, like, how does that develop from there? Um, it's interesting. But again, worst part of Highlander. Did not like. Ah! Should have angled this up more. Ow. Uh, yeah, but I want to go fishing today. I want to go fishing today, but I've got stuff to do. I'll probably try later, or I'm gonna play more Fortnite today. Oh, Nani, you missed me talking about Metallica. I think you did anyway. Maybe you didn't. I was talking about Metallica because I have Master of Puppets as an emote in Fortnite now. And I was not expecting that at all. But I'm very happy. You miss a lot? That's fair. We should play Fortnite sometime because we can play Master of Puppets together. It's a I'm not sure if synced emotes are the ones where other people can join you or if that refers to something else. I think those are synced emotes, but it's one where up to 4 people can do the emote at the same time. Um and you all randomly get assigned different roles. So it's like you've got like the lead guitar, the rhythm guitar, bass, and drummer. So you get 4 people, you get a party together, and you're just all playing Master of Puppets, and it's great. Except that the parts aren't synced properly anyway, so it's kind of mute point. It's fake, but it'd be so cool if they had properly rendered the playing, but or synced the playing to the track. That would have been incredible. But it's still cool because it's Master Puppets, and I did not expect Metallica in Fortnite. I'm kind of in pain for the same reason I'm always in pain when it comes to stuff in Fortnite. I don't understand why these companies think it's a good idea. I really don't. Like, who is licensing their stuff to Fortnite? Why are they all licensing their stuff to Fortnite? What is the point? I don't understand. But I can play Master of Puppets in Fortnite. And I like that. Uh, that's the wrong runner. That's also the wrong. What? Oh, because I'm looking for a gray piece, not a white one. Yeah, it's white in the picture, but it's a gray piece. Yeah, there it is. That's the one I'm looking for. That was throwing me off. I should learn to actually play Master of Puppets. Something tells me that's not a starter song to learn. Oh no! Oh no! I broke his hand. Now I gotta find that piece. It popped off. I have to... Oh, there it is. Oof. Okay. I was scared. Look how small that is. Oh, you're gonna leave soon? Bye. Have fun with whatever it is. I'm gonna fix my Gumbum. I'm gonna fix the Gumbum. The Gundam. There we go. There we go. That's better. I fixed it. Put you back over here. Oh, hey, Nani, look. Chickens. Also, Butchie. It's Butchie. Butchie goes over there next to my Nichika standee. Which I have Nichika pre-ordered. I have I have the Nichika Nendroid pre-ordered along with the extra face plates for Butchie. So I'm excited. They're gonna come out like late next year. But I'm excited. Alright, I need to move this because the gun is snagging on my runners and it's gonna make the hand pop off again, and I don't like that. So we're moving RX-79. Why do I always refer to it as the RX-79? Because Ground Gundam doesn't sound as cool. Also, that's its designation. It's RX-79. I also call the first Gundam the RX-78, but that's also because if I just say the Gundam, nobody's going to know what I'm... Well, okay, people are going to know what I'm talking about. A lot of people aren't going to know what I'm talking about. Okay, you know what? To be fair, I don't think most people are going to know what I'm talking about if I say RX-79 either. I feel like the same people who know what I'm talking about if I just say the Gundam are also the people who are going to know what I'm talking about if I say RX-79, and I feel like nobody else is going to know what I'm talking about, so maybe I don't need to specify. RX-78, sorry. That's the first Gundam from the original Gundam. It's the RX-78 too. I like the RX-78. You want to talk about how game theory's... Sorry, not game theory. Game theory is wrong, but that's not the right channel. Game theory's super wrong. Actually, I want to talk about how game... Nani, I think this one's going to hit home for you. You want to talk about how game theory is super, super wrong because you watched like 2 episodes of, Full Metal Alchemist and decided he could make theories about the plot based on 2 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist. Trying to discredit the value of a human soul because their formula for a human body was actually wrong. So the human soul was not a factor and didn't actually matter. It was just that their formula was wrong, which flies in the face of like so many narrative points that come out later that he didn't know about because he didn't bother to actually watch the show first. Matt Pat totally doesn't do research. He doesn't do proper research either. I've known other theory channels that have huge segments just debunking his theories because his math is wrong. Like simple stuff like that, where it's like, objectively, this is incorrect information, and here's why. I still hate the, and people take it like it's gospel. I hate his Halo theory about the smacks to the back of the head. I just tapped the back of my head, and you can't see that, so what's the point? For the helmets, right? Okay, so Halo. You've played Halo, right? You know how, like, you melee somebody in the back of the head and they drop? And people be like, oh, that's ridiculous because super armor, and it's just, and he made that theory that, like, oh, the reason they drop is because it's several tons of armor, and then when you smack them in the back of the head, it jostles the neural connection and it makes them drop, right? That's ridiculous, actually. Like, completely ridiculous. A ring or 2 or 3? 3 rings, maybe? Did you know, you probably did, but did you know that Halo was originally supposed to be a Mac exclusive? Yeah, early in development. They were signed up to be a Mac exclusive. Imagine the world we would be living in right now if Halo came out exclusively on the Mac. I think that is the weirdest thing. Along that lines, too, actually, did you see about the Marathon reboot that nobody who actually knows what Marathon is likes? That isn't out yet? I'm going to be real, too. After looking into Marathon, after seeing the announcement, I don't like it either. Like, I think the cinematic they showed off looks cool, and I think the concept is cool. So, like, I might play it. But, like, after looking into Marathon, I'm like, yeah, that's not a Marathon game. Why would you do this? Why didn't you just make a new game? Because I can promise you the clout you think you're going to get off of naming this Marathon is not going to mean anything. I didn't know what Marathon was. So, like, that's fair. I had to look up Marathon after seeing people upset that they named a thing Marathon that had nothing to do with Marathon. And I actually hate that. I hate when companies go, oh, we have this old IP, let's just slap that name on something completely different. What's the point? What's the point? Because, again, nobody knows what Marathon is. So the like 12 people you're going to appeal to by naming it Marathon? Okay, well, hold up. Right. So nobody recognizes the name Marathon. There's like 12 people that are going to recognize the name Marathon. So slapping the name Marathon on it means nothing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. Except for like the 12 people who know the name Marathon who aren't going to like it because you're not making a true successor to Marathon. So why did you put the name Marathon on it at all? You might as well call it something completely different. It would be the new extraction shooter from Bungie, who developed Halo, which would have sold just as well, if not better, than slapping the name Marathon on it. It literally doesn't do anything for it. And really, if they wanted to make an extraction shooter tied into Marathon, probably what they should have done first was make a new standalone Marathon. And then release the extraction shooter as a spin-off to that. It would have still appealed to the diehard Marathon fans, because now they have their true Marathon successor, while you also get to jump in on what you think is going to be the new trend. Yeah. It's an extraction shooter. That's why the Marathon fans aren't happy about it. Again, the 12 of them. Now, I have to go and play the original Marathon now because I think that looks really cool, actually. And I hadn't heard of it. Keep in mind, so I didn't game back then. I didn't have a computer. I technically still don't have a computer. This isn't my computer. I didn't have like consoles. I didn't have internet. So that's part of why I don't know what Marathon is. But like the end result of all that is I am going back to a lot of older stuff. Ooh, that was loud. I'm trying to replay a lot of stuff that I missed out on, like Quake, which is amazing, and I'm sad I missed out on that. But to be fair, I also missed out on Doom, which is great, and I love Doom. What? I've been dropping these pieces all day. It's a problem. Or all morning, I guess. All day. And it's a problem. Now, I like the extraction shooter is Tarkov, right? That's the extraction shooter style. Because I actually do like that style. I just don't think it's a new trend. And I don't get the like handful of developers that think it is. Like, that's not an appealing gameplay style. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's I mean, Tarkov especially, right? So I love Tarkov, and the thing with Tarkov, so I haven't played it though, to be clear. But the thing is, when I look at it, right, I get so annoyed with discourse around it because people be like, "Oh, Tarkov is so bad because of this function," and I go, "Look, that's why I want to play it. I don't think you understand this game. Like, you're sitting here saying it's a bad game because of this player-unfriendly system that was intentionally designed to be a player-unfriendly that people literally play this game for. So you don't like the game. That doesn't make it a bad game. That makes it a game that doesn't appeal to you. Something that does make it bad, unless they fixed it, the really, really bad wait times for matches. I don't know if that's still an issue, but I know that was an issue when the game came out. That makes the game bad. But the game having features that you personally don't like doesn't make it bad. That's something that a lot of people need to learn in general. Like, for instance, when someone says fighting games are bad because I'm not good at them. No, you're just bad at fighting games. Get good. Which, by the way, that's another thing I hate. I hate when people say that to me. I've had so many people... I need 2 of those, don't I? Yeah, I do. What am I doing? I've had that before, and I hate it when people tell me that, oh, I don't like fighting games because I'm bad at fighting games. Of course you're bad at fighting games. What did you expect to do? Pick up a controller and be good at it? You realize, like, people dedicate a lot of time to learning these games. You can't just pick up a controller and be good at a fighting game. That's not how it works. Fighting games are not intuitive in the first place. Like, they're just not. There's a lot of really complicated systems that don't all make sense for someone who's never, like, double tap to sprint. For instance, who is going to double tap to dash intuitively? Just instinctively. You're going to pick up a fighting game for the first time and go, yeah, this makes sense, double tap up to jump? No! That stuff doesn't make sense at all. Unless you're familiar with fighting games. Even like directional inputs, nobody is going to be ready for that when they first pick up a controller. Absolutely, you haven't built that dexterity. That muscle memory is not there. I mean, my muscle memory for DPs is still not there. Like, I tend to just avoid doing the Shoryuken and stuff. I just kind of avoid using my aerials half the time, which is bad, which is really bad, and I need to fix it. Because, again, I just haven't developed that muscle memory. Like, you're not going to be good at fighting games. That's not how that works. So I hate that when people say that. Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. The muscle memory is important. It really is. You have to develop it. You have to spend time with. And then on top of that, like every single fighting game plays differently, despite what some people might think looking at it from an outside perspective. They all have different timings, different skill sets, different core mechanics. Like one fighting game is not the same as the other, right? So depending on which one you pick up, some of them are going to be more complicated than others. Some of them, like I think they messed it up actually, but for a while, Grand Blue Fantasy was my go-to. BDO PvP plays like a fighting game. I can tell already. I can feel it. I think I need a better machine though to do it because my frame rate's not perfect, and it's going to mess up my frame data. But I can already feel it in the way, like, I've got certain skills that have blocks on them. It's all on different directional inputs. It's not quite the same as doing, DP motions. I'm not doing Hadokens, but I've still got directional inputs going on. Like, I feel it. I'm kind of excited. I how viable is Shy in PvP? Because I want to kill people as a child. That's funny. I also just like refuse to make another. Well, that's not true. I don't refuse to make another character. I refuse to main another character. So I will be making more characters because I want bigger stamina pool. But useful for wars. I don't think they have any 1v1 viability. That is unsurprising, but makes me sad anyway. It makes me worried about my resource gathering. Yeah, I guess that's the downside to being the only support class in the game. I also get amused. Oh, you're gonna love this, but I also get amused by like seeing the constant a lot of trick moves. Neat. That sounds fun. I don't use these yet. Yeah, I don't think you use these yet. So these get put to the side. I kind of expected these to show up sooner. What was I thinking? Oh yeah, I got amused by the constant Guild War notifications. The constant notifications of like, oh, this guild has declared war with this guild. It's funny. I watch that and I chuckle. But yeah, so I went on the other day and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna spend some time. I'm gonna harvest more pine and I'm gonna fish and I'm just gonna relax. And for like an hour, and I proceeded to spend 3 hours wandering all over the map just because I could. I ended up finding I forget what it was, but that's when I messaged you that I'm like, okay, I actually like the system now because I fought some cultists I shouldn't have, and it was fun, right? Meanwhile, the Black Spirit was constantly like, run, you fool, you can't fight them. And I'm like, au contraire, I just killed 3 of them at the same time. And it took me like 10 minutes. You can't do that in most MMOs. But yeah. I wandered. It was like 4 a.m. when I went to bed. I meant to go on for like an hour. I did not just stay on for an hour. I found a watchtower with some dwarves underneath it that I definitively used the wrong method to get to because first I found this ravine I could go down into and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and there's water down here. I'm gonna swim through this. Finds the watchtower, has to climb the cliff face to get into the watchtower instead of using the bridge that I clearly was supposed to use. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. And there were some elk that stared me down that have red health bars, so I don't want to mess with them. It didn't attack me, but it looked like it might. So I just kind of walked away. That was kind of scary, actually. It's always fun to see people explore for the first time. It's always fun to explore for the first time, too. Like, in anything. That's my favorite part of MMO worlds, too. Like, they just have the more expressive world. They have those larger maps with just all sorts of stuff, and just they're more interesting to traverse than most maps. And you wander into an area that's way too high level, and then in most MMOs you just die because tab targeting systems. I need more 10. 10, 11, 10 needs to. But yeah, so that was fun. Then I found a mill. And I wandered all the way back up to where I started. So I'm back in a Heidel or whatever now. For a while I was not still in Heidel. But I'm back now. I need to dip into. I started messing with housing stuff. I bought some land in Heidel. Some houses, some buildings. And I need to actually better optimize them, I think. Because so it's specific buildings can be used to make specific workshops, right? That's what I was seeing, it seemed. So I need to rearrange. Right now I've got 2 residences and a storage set up, and what I need to do is I need to go through, because I grabbed the one building first and then went, but I like the one above it better. And so I made that one my residence after. I need to go through, get rid of the one that's a residence, turn that one into storage, because I don't think I can turn that one into a workshop at all. And then the one next to it that is currently storage, I need to turn into a tools workshop so that I can make my own fishing rods. Now, that means I need to hire workers, though, right? Or can I operate those myself? Also, I need to figure out where to get, okay. I need to figure out how to get, cooking utensils and stuff. I don't know how to get, where to get all that stuff. Only workers can use workshops. I assumed so. So, good to know. I'm assuming I can't even enter them, right? It's just like a building that's blocked off and generates resources. Like how my storage works, more or less. Either buy them or there's a workshop. Okay. Yeah, I need to figure out where. I want my stuff. I want to start cooking. I was told there's a quest line that gives you cooking utensils too, so I gotta look into that. I need to get back on the main quest, honestly. I've not been doing it. Instead, I've been harvesting pine trees. But I should go do it so that I just have more gear and stuff. And oh, also knowledge, because I'll get more knowledge from doing that stuff too, and that would be nice. Did I do these yet? No. Actually, the knowledge systems I think is fascinating. I was not expecting that system at all when I started. Like maybe some sort of glossary or something. The last thing I expected though was to have like the things I learned be like recorded and then important. Like to have it actually affect like conversing with NPCs. It's fascinatingly detailed. I think it's super cool. Like I can, because I have learned about different people, I can have conversations with different NPCs about different people that I have had to learn about through exploring, and that's fascinating. I, in an MMO system, like that's not a system I would expect in an MMO. And then conversing with them raises like my status with them potentially, unless I bore them, which I can bore them by talking about the same things over and over again. So I have to expand my knowledge to be able to converse with them. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I saw a couple of the shops had it's specifically I noted the furniture seller in Heidel. He has some stuff that I have to get um Emity up with in order to purchase from him. It's fascinating. Those are not mechanics I expected from an MMO. Those are mechanics I might expect in like a single player RPG with an emphasis on like life sim mechanics, but not an MMO. It's fascinating. So I have started talking to more people to gain more knowledge. It's yeah, but also online. So you know, like it's RPG with life mechanics, but also there's other people in the world too, and it's just baffling. I think it needs more emphasis on the online part though, but it's cool. Yeah. That is one thing that always does make me sad in an MMO is when it doesn't have enough of that. Oh, you know what else is really bad? I think we already talked about this actually, but Fantasy Star Online 2, as much as I enjoy the game, does not have like anything in regards to like the online interaction part. There's just nothing there. It's very, very bad for that. But I think we specifically already had that conversation. While playing Black Desert. Which I need to get back into Phantasy Star Online too. You know they sell the mechs as a kit? It's Kotobukiya, I believe, has one. And I want it, but it was like a $60 kit too, so I did not buy it when I saw it. But yeah, there is a model kit for the mech in Phantasy Star Online too, and I want it. I just don't know if I want it $60 worth. That's kind of a lot. A lot of Kotobukiya kits do seem to be a lot more expensive than Bandai kits. And to be fair, the one I own is better. Like, I brought this up before. I don't remember. I think it was the first of my building streams for this guy that I brought it up in. But, my one Megami device kit is my one Kotobukiya kit. And it's nicer than the 30-Minute Sisters kit. But it also cost me, like, a good bit more. So, it's a trade-off. It's a fair trade-off. There's some other model kit lines I gotta look into as well, but I don't remember the name of them now off the top of my head. I gotta go look that up again. But some other, like, Met Girl model lines. I don't think there's a whole lot in mecha model lines that I care to look into. I just like my Gundam designs. And I specifically like my Gundam designs too, so I'm good just sticking with these. Well, okay, there's some other model kits I'd like to outside of just Gunpla. There's what was his name? What is the name of the show? Hold up. I don't remember what it was called. What is the one where it's a dad and his daughter and they have a mech that drills things or something? It's like spelunking, but there's a mech involved. And I watched a couple episodes of it. I think she named it Big Tony. I think that was its name. But anyways, I want that kit, but again, it was really expensive for what it is. I think it was another Kotobukiya too. I don't quite remember. I don't think it was a Bandai kit. But maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it was. Still, it was really expensive for what it was, so I didn't pick it up. But I do still kind of want to. Man, what was the name of that series, though? I don't remember. Yeah, I got, so, Big Tony sounds like you while watching The Sopranos. I haven't watched The Sopranos, but I did watch, The Godfather. The Godfather's incredible. Not sure if I'll watch it again, but it was incredible. I think there are certain parts of The Godfather that'll make me a little bit too depressed to watch it multiple times. But it is very, very good. It's very, very heavy. It's one of those where it's like, I recommend. However, be aware before you go in that it is a lot. It is not something you watch for fun and to feel good. But I need to check out The Sopranos. You know what's really funny? So I've never seen The Sopranos. And I don't think my mom's ever watched The Sopranos. I think she's seen it, but I don't think she watched it. But she has the cookbook. We have The Sopranos cookbook. And it is a great cookbook where my mom has gotten a lot of her recipes from. Which is just fantastic. But no, I'll look up that series again because I don't quite remember what it's called. It's a real series though, and I'm pretty sure that was the mech's name. He's got a backpack. He's a little spelunky dude. And it's kind of dumb, but it's I don't know. The show is interesting. There were some feelings I felt about it, but overall I thought it was interesting. Actually, okay, so my thoughts on it were kind of like, yeah, for a daughter-father like dynamic, they're not a very father-daughter pairing, and that makes me kind of sad because that's kind of what I hoped to see from it. Because it's a long story short, it's a dad and his kid going on adventures in cave systems with a mech. Like massively, excuse me, massively summarized version of that plot, right? But that's more or less what it is, right? Oh, I need another piece here. But they don't have a very, and this was kind of part of the point of the plot too, right? But they don't actually have a very good father-daughter dynamic. Again, was actually relevant to the story, but it just, with how uncommon that sort of dynamic is, or at least I don't see it very often in the first place, I was kind of hoping to get like more emphasis on it than we actually got. So, but that's a personal problem. I wouldn't necessarily say that is an issue with the series. It's a personal gripe. And again, it's plot relevant too. So. Alright. Where do we go from here? We take my little guys. You go here. Like that. There we go. There we go. You go like that. So this is the knee right now that we're working on. See that little joint action right there? Yeah, that's right. There we go. Yeah, so that's a working knee now. Well, it's a half of a working knee, really. And we're going to do the same thing with this, because they're the same pieces. The nice thing about the legs is they're identical. So you just You make them the same. It's just as you go, you just make the two of them. The arms are the same way too, where they're well until you get to like these pieces, the shoulders, they're exactly the same. So the general construction, you just make two of everything and go from there. And now that these are done, those are the most complex parts on the legs. So the rest of this shouldn't take too long, right? Oh gosh, we've already gone for so long. Look how long it takes me to do this. This is a personal problem for sure, but look how long. It's been over an hour and a half, and I've just gotten the feet done. So that maybe is a problem. All right, where's the right there? So we get these guys now. Are these the knees? These are the knees. Or the armor plating for the knees. Man, my phone's occupied too. It's really bothering me. I cannot remember the name of that series. And I really want to look it up, but my phone is currently occupied acting as my camera. So I can't look it up. I think I was watching it on Crunchyroll. So I was just going to scroll through my Crunchyroll library till I found it. What else have I been watching? I don't remember what else I've been watching, actually. Oh, King of the Hill. I've been watching... That's not an anime, so... But that's what I've actually been watching. You know, because Bocchi the Rock is over. I watched all of it. I read all of Volume 1. I finished Volume 1 of the manga. Well, unsurprisingly, I finished Volume 1 of the manga in like 2 days. It was like 2 sittings, and I was like, oh, now I'm sad. Because I read it all. I can't wait for Volume 2 to release. Volume 2 is... I gotta look into that. I gotta look into the release schedule. Might already be out. I don't know. Maybe I should look into that. I'm gonna have to snap it up. Oh man, I want to show off my guitar too. Mine's not a Gibson, first and foremost, but like, I shouldn't. I should just work on my my kit here. I want to show it off. I need to figure out how to stream it too. I need to figure out how to capture the sound for streaming. I'm not quite sure what to do with that. I gotta look into it. I had someone say something about I might need a special sound card for it, and I'm like, ooh, I hope not, because that's more tech I gotta worry about. I'm gonna need an audio interface for sure. Like, regardless of how to do it, I've seen people, like, just mic up their stuff. I'm pretty sure you can plug it directly into, like, an interface, but, like, regardless of what you do with it, so other way around. It goes that way. Yep. Regardless of what I do with it, I'm gonna need a... Yeah, there we go. See a little armor cap. I'm gonna need an interface, whether I am plugging it, because it's, you know, it's guitar cables. It's oh, I don't know the term for them. I don't know the correct term. But none of those cables plug into the computers. So I'm gonna need to figure that out. Which it's you know, it's more tech I need to... Where did... Oh no. Drop the piece. And I dropped the knee. Where'd it go? There'd it go. Okay, we found it. All good. Crisis averted. Oh. There we go. Now I need the D runners. Okay. Oh, it's these runners. It's these parts too. Those are easy to find. Yeah, so it's more equipment I need to buy, but it's equipment I needed to buy anyway, eventually. So I just hope it's not going to be too expensive. I'm going to have to do a lot of research into what to actually get. Apparently, it's really complicated to figure out what audio interface to get, and that doesn't even surprise me. But I gotta worry about things like how much control I want directly on the interface, which personally is a lot. I would rather have a lot of control over the sound coming into the computer. I just like having control. Yeah. But no, I like to have a lot of fine-tune ability, the ability to fine-tune things like my sound, stuff like that. Which ultimately means I'm probably going to figure out how to get it into one position that I like and leave it at that, but still. I like having those options. So, gotta look into that. Probably not going to be cheap. Who would have thought? This stuff's actually really expensive. Who would have thought professional grade equipment was expensive, am I right? And finally got to set up. What did you miss? I lost a knee. I dropped it. It went under my couch. I had to go find it. So you missed that. You missed me talking about audio interfaces. I think you did anyway, because I wanna play my guitar sometime. I say play, but I can't actually play it yet. But I digress, right? I wanna do one of these, but with guitar practice rather than Gunpla building. But I need an audio interface for that, and I'm not sure what to do for that. Or I need to look up I need to look into how to do that. I need to look into how to capture the sound in the first place. And it's probably going to include a audio interface, which is going to be a pretty expensive piece of equipment. And I'm going to want to do my thing too of not bother with something cheaper to start out with. There's a bunch of ways. I'm sure there's a bunch of ways. I'm assuming most of them still require an audio interface though, right? Rocksmith? I'll have to look into that. I'm probably going to do my thing of I could go with the cheaper option, but I'd rather wait an extra, couple paychecks to buy a more expensive thing and then not do that. Because I have a habit of that. Guitar Hero, but... Oh, wait, no, I think I do know Rocksmith. Yeah, Rocksmith... I was about to describe it to see if I'm right, but I think that is the perfect way to describe it, right? Guitar Hero, but with an actual guitar. And so it picks up the sound, the chord, the notes you're playing on your guitar itself and uses that, right? But that really is the best way to describe it, just Guitar Hero. Hook your guitar to... How do you hook a guitar to a USB? But yeah, I remember Rocksmith. I've seen a guitarist play Rocksmith. It actually looked really cool. Isn't it,
isn't it kind of like marketed as a means to help learn? In game, you can use amp settings and stuff, hence cheapest way. Yeah, that makes sense. I've seen. Again, I watched a guitarist mess around with it, and he went to the amp settings and messed around with that for quite a bit. I am tempted to look into it for that purpose. I need to amp up my learning. I'm not quite sure what to do from here. Where to kind of one of the things I should do is forget where I put it again, but I have a book of chords and I need to just break into and start learning that. Outside of that, though, I'm not quite sure where to go, what to do. Does lesson type song learning? That's good. I really should look into it. Yeah, I remember. I think I remember when that came out. If it's what I'm thinking of, um, yeah, it was really cool. And you get the cable for like $20. That's insane. That's a lot cheaper than a Guitar Hero guitar, and that's just buttons. Oh, then again, I guess cable is yeah. It's the guitar is the expensive part, and I already have that. That guitar is a lot more expensive than a Guitar Hero guitar. I hope. The game's pretty cheap. That doesn't surprise me because I bet nobody plays it. That just sounds like one of those things that's just not going to appeal to people on a large scale. Also, I saw Guitar Hero on tour at my local McKay's. Yeah, nobody plays it. I'm not surprised. I saw Guitar Hero on tour at my local McKay's. Do you think that's worth buying? Speaking of Guitar Hero, Sixth Fret is hard. See, I like um I've played with it before because I had a friend who had it. I like the on tour controller a lot. But I remember, didn't on tour flop pretty hard? I remember that like really not doing well. Like, I feel like it's not completely its fault too. I think it just came out kind of after Guitar Hero. Like maybe I'm wrong about this, but it feels to me like it came out after Guitar Hero was already kind of dead, after it had no place anymore. Plastic toy games are dead. Man, yeah, they are. Man, I never even considered plastic toy games. I never thought of it like, oh, I don't like thinking about Guitar Hero like that. Like that you're lumping it in with Skylanders, and it just doesn't feel right. Man, that makes it like the earliest plastic toy game though, doesn't it? I'm in pain. But I feel like see, that's kind of what I was thinking of doing because I remember watching you do it and being like, "Oh, that looks fun." Yeah, that's Clone Heroes cool. I like that Clone Hero has a good library. That makes me happy. Yeah, but I feel like there was no market for on tour in the first place. Just like what even songs are in on tour? The rock scene's been dead for a really long time. What are they gonna put in the game? Who's actually gonna want to play that? I just feel like there just wasn't a scene for it when it came out. On top of the fact that they did something different with a classic series. See, that's the other part of it too, is the 6 fret thing. Plus they didn't they, because I remember, I might, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they use like some like live show style footage for the in-game like instead of having like the cutscene style stuff like they would in the older games. I remember they had like live recording stuff for it. I remember that being a thing, and I remember that putting people off too. Oh, what? I didn't even know that part. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. That's interesting. That actually explains a lot of what was going on with On Tour. Um, but I remember, yeah, I'll look into it. I remember that being a thing, and I remember it being interesting too because I remember the footage would shift based on how well you're doing. So if you were doing really poorly, the crowd would be very upset, and it was like a live recording type, like a live action footage type thing. It was fascinating, but anyways, um, there was that put people off. There was a 6 fret thing. Didn't that like am I mistaken in the perception that that killed Guitar Hero too? Because I feel like Guitar Hero was going fine until On Tour came out, and then all of a sudden Guitar Hero disappeared forever. Which I'd say that makes me sad, but again, like the rock scene's dead. Guitar Hero doesn't have a scene to base itself off of anymore. It was already dead. Yeah, that's probably true. And I would say probably for the same reason, rock's dead. Like we don't really have a band scene at all anymore. Live, yeah, that's true too. So in other words, like there are like several factors that were going against it, from like the music scene to the gaming scene to the changes they tried to implement. It just there was nothing going for it when it came out. That man, it makes me sad because I really think they did something really cool with it. All right. Now we take these guys. Both one. Awesome. These guys. I am actually tempted to go pick it up. Because I think it was neat. I forget what it was for. The one that was sitting there. I think it was a PlayStation copy. I'll have to take a look. Because that's the other kicker, right? If it's like an Xbox copy, I can't run that. I don't have an Xbox. I don't think I do. What did it come out on? Because I have a 360. I'm pretty sure it was later than that. Guitar Hero controllers are expensive? Oh no. That shouldn't surprise me, but oh no. I need a 360 controller for Windows? That makes sense. That makes me sad. But yeah. Yeah. I do PlayStation gaming. I don't do Xbox gaming. I don't like the Xbox controllers. I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons why I originally was on PlayStation, but like that's one of them. You had to buy the 360 thing for your Xbox One guitar. Yeah, that checks out. Alright. Oh, these are gonna be tricky, huh? So you want to be in here like that. Okay. And in here like that. Okay, not that tricky. I am still tempted. So I've got this weird temptation, right? I'm tempted to get an Xbox One because I can get Rare Replay on there. And also I can fix my PSO2 stuff. So the reason I don't play PSO2 anymore is because they ruined it, and I'm still furious. I will never not be furious at Xbox for doing this. Microsoft picked up the game, completely destroyed it. Like, this was a game that was stable, running perfectly fine for 8 years until they decided to localize it poorly, by the way, because like the actors they picked were awful across the board for the dub. And then they did some really weird stuff too with the localization where they gave like one dude for some reason an Australian accent, which is, I don't know what they were thinking with that. Um, and then like the translations are just awkward. A lot of the item descriptions look like they were just passed through Google Translate, and that was it. The unofficial stuff is genuinely a better localization than the official stuff. But then they also destroyed the thing's performance by cramming in like anti-cheat software that it was never made to work with in the first place, and cramming in Xbox support that the game was never built for because the game was built as a PC and PlayStation game. Oh my gosh, the thing came out and it couldn't run on PC in the lobbies at all. So that's part of why I stopped playing it, but now I have this issue of like I can't log in properly. It's just a really weird, it's a personal issue, but it's like a really weird issue that like is not really resolvable. So I've been tempted to get an Xbox because it runs properly on there so that I can at least get in and get my code so that I can boot it up through Steam. Because I don't want to play the game without the stuff that I worked for. I just don't. I don't have the will to start over. There's stuff I paid for on there. There's stuff that I worked on there, and I just don't have the will to play it without the stuff that I worked for. So, I've been tempted to get an Xbox in order to get my transfer code to sync it up with like the Steam version that actually runs properly, that actually installs properly and updates properly instead of breaking every single time it has to do an update. Because that was another reason I stopped playing. Every single time it updated, I'd have to like reinstall it because it's just, well, not reinstall it, but it would crash the updates constantly. I'd have to like reinitiate the update process over and over again. It was abysmal. It was a horrible experience for something that had been working without issue for 8 years up to that point. Like, how do you mess that up? And then New Genesis came out and destroyed it. Because again, game had been running fine. People had been playing it happily for like 8 years. And that one's on Sega, mind you. But then Sega, for some reason, decides they need to spice up the game. The game that they has been their most successful game for the past like 8 years running. What was the point? Why won't this go on? Why does this not want to go on? Oh, whew. I can't get this in, and I don't know why. That and Rare Replay. Partially just because I want to see how they did. I believe Jet Force Gemini is available through the Rare Replay. And I want to see how it works on an Xbox controller. If not, I still have access to a whole ton of classic Rareware games through that. Finally got it. So it's still cool. Upset it's on Xbox, because it should be on a Nintendo console where it belongs, but I digress. I will never not be mad at Xbox for their handling of PSO2, though. I'll also never not be mad at, I don't know who's responsible for it, actually, so I don't know if I'm mad at PlayStation or if I'm mad at Sega. Xbox shouldn't have localized it in the first place. It should have been localized by PlayStation. It was a PlayStation game. The Xbox is the only console it wasn't available for in Japan. It was on PC. It was on Xbox, PlayStation. Sorry, it was. What else was it on? Actually, on PlayStation. I think it was on PlayStation. Yeah, so it was like PS Vita. I'm pretty sure it ran on, and PS3, I guess. Right? That feels weird, but I think that's right. It was like PS3, PS Vita, and PC. It's not an Xbox game. And they just didn't do anything with it. They didn't bring it over. And so 8 years later, Microsoft snatched up the license, I guess. I don't know the bureaucracy behind that, but it released as an Xbox game. And why did it take so long? The only reason I wasn't playing on the Japanese client is because I tried and I couldn't get it to work. Arc Slayer, I believe, is the client that it's the fan-made client that people were using to access the Japanese game. I could never get mine to run. I don't know what happened. So that was where you had the English language patch and everything was through Arc Slayer. I think I got Arc Slayer running, but I could never get into the game. So I never played it. I could boot it up, but I couldn't actually log in. I think I screwed up somewhere on making my Japanese Sega account. And I think I know where it is, but I don't know where it is. I think I know what the problem is. I don't think I know how to fix it. I think the problem is I don't have PSO2 authorized on my Sega account, because I think I remember seeing something about that when looking through tutorials. The problem is I don't know how to do that. I don't know where to go to do that. So I can't fix it. And it's infuriating. But yeah, I tried to play the game in Japanese, could not manage to get it to run, which is crazy because like everybody else can, and then I can't. That's why I don't mess with a lot of this stuff. It's because stuff just doesn't end up working when I try to mess with it. So I haven't like gone into like emulating and whatnot too, because I fully expect to break something trying to emulate something, and I don't want to mess with it. Like, I don't want to put... I'm probably going to mess with stuff like this more when I have my own computer, because right now it's like, if I break this computer trying to mess with something that I don't know what I'm doing with, it's not my computer, and that's a problem. If I break my own computer, it's my own money that I invested. It's my own fault. It's my own money. I'm okay with that. I'm a lot more okay with that than breaking somebody else's machine trying to do something I don't know what I'm working with. But, like, I want to get PC98 emulators running. I actually have, because but I digress. Toho. I have played Toho's 1 through 5, and those are PC98 stuff. Yeah, I know. I've heard PC98 is, like, horrible to try and emulate. Oh, gosh, you're scaring me now. See, it's really easy for Toho. The Toho games, it's just, here is the emulator booted into this slot, and that's it. And it runs, and it's fine, and you don't have to worry. You just don't touch anything. It works. But I keep hearing about how like, terrifying PC98 stuff is to emulate, and it's scaring me. Because the thing is, I want to play I believe Metal Gear Solid. It's not Solid. Sorry, I believe the original Metal Gear was a PC 98 title. I want to play it on the original PC 98 because I believe there's missing content from the NES version due to just space limitations. See, why am I not? I'm gonna make fun of you, but like, don't worry about it. Why am I not surprised that that's what you were trying to do with it? The answer is because what else would you do with it? That's like, the reality is the PC 98 was pretty much used for H games and almost nothing else. I want to get it running so that I can run PC 98 art. PC 98 is really cool. That's the thing. The PC 98 is so cool. So what I want it for, I want to play Metal Gear. I want to play Police Knots, all the Kojima stuff. Police Knots, Snatcher, Metal Gear. Those are the really big ones that I really, really want to play. And the PC 98, first of all, Police Knots, unless I'm mistaken, does not exist off of the PC 98. Like, that's the only place to play it. And then Snatcher has ports that have removed content in, like, everything other than the PC 98 version. It's really funny, too, because there's this... It's a secret conversation, but there's the secret conversation going ballistic about censorship stuff. And it's funny to me that that game got mass censored across, like, all other platforms. And has, I mean, there's a reason why it's there. But yeah, legs. We're almost done with the legs. Oh gosh, it's been over 2 hours. So we're gonna wrap up once the legs are done. I didn't get to the weapons. How surprising is that? Yeah, PC 98's cool. The art on it's cool. The soundtrack on it tends to be really good. Oh no, it actually will be next time. I swear. Like, again, the weapons are not even a whole stream on their own. They're just... The weapons aren't difficult to put together at all. I'm running out of time today. But yeah, I need to get PC 98 stuff working. I still think, by the way, even though I haven't played it, and even though, like, I haven't actually watched a full playthrough of it either, Police Knots is Kojima's greatest work. Police Knots is, dare I say, the only thing Kojima's ever made that was unique. A lot of his ideas he used later. I mean, quite frankly, even in Police Knots, a lot of those ideas were lifted from other stuff, but a lot of the stuff you see later on, he first put them down in Police Knots. Snatcher is just Blade Runner. Metal Gear, if you start to look into it, you start to realize Metal Gear is just a combination of different action movies that he's watched and, like, Tom Clancy books. Kojima was very, very influenced by the stuff he watched. This is why, by the way, he was denied from film school. Probably. Speculation. Because his stuff is just riffing on stuff he'd already watched. Which, by the way, that's some neat Kojima history right there. Is he was originally, and you might already know this because you know a lot of this stuff already, but yeah, he originally wanted to go to film school. He didn't want to make games at all. He went to games because he was denied from film school. And he proceeded to just make films. This is why Metal Gear Solid 4 is just a movie. It's a really good movie, too. I really like Metal Gear Solid 4 as a movie. But, as a game, I actually think it's really cool, but doesn't have enough gameplay moments. So, like, the unique stuff in it, I think, is really cool. The problem with Metal Gear Solid 4 is its majority cutscene. It probably has more cutscene than actual gameplay. It is so much cutscene. That's where you have the legendary literally hour-long cutscene in the game. It's insane. And it is not a game I recommend people play unless they are trying to conclude the Metal Gear storyline. Don't play Metal Gear Solid 4 unless you have played 1, 2, and 3. It is not worth playing without the context of 1, 2, and 3. It is a conclusion to the legacy of Metal Gear Solids 1 through 3. But it is not a standalone. It does not work as a standalone. And it has some of the worst gameplay out of the three. Again, mostly due to the fact that you barely get to experience it. The level design is some of the worst, because a lot of it is running through active war zones, which means that its stealth gameplay is the worst it's ever been, because most of those guys are preoccupied fighting other people that are already trying to kill them, which means you just have to stand behind a doorway, let them run past, and then move forward. It probably has some of the best gunplay, but that in itself is a problem for a stealth game because it encourages running and gunning in a way that it shouldn't be for a stealth game. Peace Walker technically has the same issue, but Peace Walker has better map design. Not to mention, with it being an active war zone, a lot of times when you take someone out, you don't have to worry. Like, there's no alarm to raise because everyone's already in active alert. Right? So, like, a lot of the mechanics that really encourage the stealth gameplay are just not there. Meanwhile, sneaking through is easier than it's ever been because they're preoccupied. And I love, like, the stress systems. I think they're fascinating systems. Oh, that's the other thing, too. Technology. You've got tech in 4 that you didn't have in past games, making it even easier to sneak around. It's got, like, active, like, I think it was, like, a sonar system or something, like a sound-based system that, like, there was a ring around you that literally points to the direction of enemies and whatnot. So it's easier than ever to identify where an enemy is and how to avoid them. And it would all be some really cool stuff in a game with higher alert from enemies. But you just don't get that. Like, throughout the entire game. Easily the worst Metal Gear Solid game. That's not true. 5 is. V. Sorry, I refuse to acknowledge it as the 5th entry in the series. It is Metal Gear Solid V. It is the only one with a Roman numeral, and I will never refer to it as 5 because of it. I do not like that game. I think it is the worst Metal Gear Solid game ever made. There are people who will disagree with me, and those people are wrong. I think it is a great shooter, and that is the problem with it. I am really upset that they took what could have been a phenomenal idea and butchered it by minimizing all of its stealth mechanics. They have trivialized the core gameplay experience. Anyways, 4 is good only if you've played the other games. So play the other games because they're fantastic. That is my... I don't even think it's a hot take. I'm pretty sure it's widely accepted. Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of the worst Metal Gear Solid games because it's barely a video game. But it's a very good movie. That's why I say that the way I do. Very good movie. Terrible video game. That's not fair. It's not a terrible game. Again, you don't get to play it enough. I really do think the mechanics there are really good when you get to use them. The problem is just that you barely get to use them. You play it to conclude the series. And it's such a good conclusion, too. I miss Metal Gear. I'm going to play those on the channel. I need to. Metal Gear is amazing. I love Metal Gear. Like, it's a whole collection of tropes and concepts from other media, but man, is it good. Juvenile humor. I was just on this thing, right? Okay, so this made me mad, and I'm going to talk about it because I brought up Metal Gear. Somebody was making... It was one of those things where they were mostly joking, right? But they were comparing JoJo and Metal Gear. They're like, oh, look at these things. They're actually super similar because look at these reasons that they're super similar, right? And they're like, first of all, the points were a load of nonsense because half the things they brought up from Metal Gear, I'm like, I don't remember that in Metal Gear, and I've played every single one of these games. So pray tell, where did you get that information? I have played every single Metal Gear game except for Metal Gear Solid Acid, I believe it was called, which is a PSP game that has a card-based system. I don't know anything about it other than I've seen a case for it. Nobody's played it. Nobody knows what that is. So I know my Metal Gear, right? I've never heard that plot point, so I would like to know where you got that information from. But putting that aside, they had things on there like, oh, it's a series, it's a multi-generational spanning series with a bunch of guys with nearly identical names. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. What are you talking about? It's one dude. Look at the Metal Gear Solid franchise. You have, let me think. Let's start with Metal Gear Solid. No, let's start with Metal Gear. We're going to start all the way with the original Metal Gear. Metal Gear, you play as Solid Snake infiltrating Big Boss's headquarters to put a stop to his diabolical nuclear plans, right? Okay. Then we go to Metal Gear Solid 2, where it's still Solid Snake. We go to Metal Gear 2. We go to Metal Gear Solid. Solid Snake is brought back from retirement. There's like 3 snakes. Solid Snake is brought back from retirement to deal with the Shadow Moses incident, which is Liquid Snake stealing a nuke. We're still dealing with the same guy 3 games later. Metal Gear Solid 2, the snake that shows up, is Solid Snake. Same guy. Metal Gear Solid 3, we now get Big Boss's backstory. That's when we get into Naked Snake, which is the first Snake. Different guy. Technically the father of Solid Snake. That's 2 generations. That's not multi-generational. That's 2 guys. We then go into Peace Walker, which is the direct sequel to 3, where we're dealing with Naked Snake, now Big Boss, and the story of how he created the Outer Heaven Uprising, which was the plot of Metal Gear. Again, same guy. It's not a multi-generational story with a bunch of characters with the same name. There are 2 guys named Snake. Technically multiple, because yes, you've got Liquid Snake, Solid Snake, Solidus Snake, but Solidus Snake is just Liquid Snake. Solidus Snake is Ocelot, who has been possessed by by Liquid. So Solidus is just Liquid. Sorry, no, Solidus. Or does he take the name Liquid? Now I'm forgetting because it's been a while. But still, you're dealing with the same guys. You're not dealing with multi-generations of like... And they listed out this timeline of the games, like, look at all these snakes in like every single one of these Metal Gear Solid games. And I'm like, those are the same guy. Over and over again. You've literally listed the same guy over and over again and are acting like those are different generations in like this long spanning. It's not. That's not how Metal Gear works. It's all the same guy. You know, the Snake in Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 4 are all the same Snake. You don't get a different guy until 3 and Peace Walker. Where does this go? How does this go? That goes like that. There we go. Let me think. All the different snakes. Now I gotta think about all the snakes for a second, because you have... It's Naked, Solid, Liquid, Solidus. That's 4 different snakes. You've got... Well, also, then there's Venom, but again, I don't acknowledge V. V doesn't make sense. It just straight up does not make sense with the timeline. You can't fit it in. Just when it all takes place, it doesn't work. So... we can put that one to the side and go, yeah, this one's not canon because it doesn't work in context with the rest of them. I don't get V. It doesn't make sense. Like, I'm sure somebody's going to sit here and try to argue that, like, oh, well, Metal Gear never makes sense. Metal Gear makes more sense than V does. V just doesn't make sense. Yeah, okay. So you've got Naked Snake, which was the original Snake that they cloned Solid and Liquid from. Solid and Liquid are the two brothers. Solid's the guy from the original Metal Gear, as well as Metal Gear Solid. Liquid, again, is his brother. He's the main villain in Metal Gear Solid. Solidus is. Was he the third clone? I think he's the third clone that appears as the main antagonist in Metal Gear Solid 2. And then there's the Ocelot thing. Did he have a different code name when they did the Ocelot stuff in Metal Gear Solid 4? I'm like, you just called him Liquid. Was he not Liquid before that? I'm like, there's a piece in my lore that's now really, really bothering me because I don't remember how that was laid out. I gotta replay Metal Gear Solid 4. It's time to replay the entire franchise, starting with Metal Gear Solid 1. And they're releasing that Master Collection too, which I can't be excited for. They got rid of Kojima. They got rid of the mind behind it. How am I supposed to be excited for them doing a Master Collection? Like, they canned projects in the process. I don't know how I'm supposed to be excited about them doing a Master Collection when they got rid of him and canned projects he was working on. I'm going to be honest, I don't think it. Well, no, I think it's going to do fine. I think it is actually going to do fine. But it's going to be really funny. Because I feel like. Nah, I'm going to leave it there. And Revengeance doesn't work either. Revengeance, I have to acknowledge, is like an alt timeline because it doesn't work. And somehow it takes place after Metal Gear Solid 4, despite the fact that, like, Raiden is implied to retire with his family after the events of 4. And it's a really good ending, by the way, for his character that they then undo for Rising. And then never even mention his wife and son in the entire game, even though that was very important to his character. They're just gone for some reason. You know, the androids are bleeding red even though they've bled white throughout every single thing Kojima ever worked on. There's a reason Kojima didn't like that game. Like, Kojima, from my understanding, what I saw, Kojima viewed Rising as a failed experiment and was never going to do something like it again as a result. Now, I might be incorrect on that because I don't remember where that information came from, but I can believe it. That's also why, like, people cry, like, oh, where's our second Rising? Well, it's never going to happen. Because the first one shouldn't have happened in the first place. Be glad it happened at all. There's really no place to put a second one anyway, because the first one didn't even. Well, okay. Technically, I can say that there's no place to put it because the first one didn't even have a place in the first place, but because the first one didn't have a place, why can't we do a second one, right? You can make a sequel to it, again, because the first one didn't work in the first place. I wouldn't mind that either, by the way. If Platinum went and made a Rising 2, I'd play it. 1 was great, and they can improve on that. I would love that. But, like, I see no point in crying about it, because it was never supposed to happen in the first place. It was a weird experiment that does not work with the rest of the Metal Gear franchise, both mechanically and narratively. Like, the game's just weird. So I don't expect to ever see another one. I don't think anybody should ever expect to see another one. And I think we should just be happy that we got it in the first place. But if they want to do another one, I'll still play it. I will definitely still play it. Rising's fun. It might not work, but it's a good game. I remember when it was originally teased, before Platinum was even involved in the project. It looked like it was going to have a much higher emphasis on actual stealth gameplay back then. And then it came out and you can't even crouch. Pretty sure, I might be mistaken on this, and I'm going to have to look into it. But I'm pretty sure Rising was supposed to take place between 2 and 4, not after 4. Which makes more sense. Because again, he wasn't doing anything after 4, he was supposed to retire. 4 is a conclusion to Metal Gear. Like, very much so. And again, that's why I say, like, do not play it if you haven't played the ones leading up to it. There is no point in playing 4 if you haven't played the ones leading up to it. It is a conclusion to that story. It concludes everyone's stories. It includes Big Boss's storyline. It concludes Solid Snake's storyline. It concludes Raiden's story. It's an ending to the entire franchise. Didn't it also have multiplayer? I think I remember it having multiplayer. I never played it. I'm pretty sure the servers were already shut down by the time I played the game. Like, I got into a lot of gaming really late. As I said before, I didn't actually grow up around any of this stuff. So, like, my PlayStation, I bought that myself, like, way later. My PSP, I even bought myself. I think that was the first game console I purchased for myself. And I saved up, like, Christmas money to get that. I bought it at the end of its lifespan, too. It was out the door when I bought mine. I don't regret it at all. I love that thing. But it's just really funny. I bought it literally as it was being shuffled out the door. And I had Peace Walker and Loco Roco. Oh, actually, Birth by Sleep. That was one of my first ones. It was Birth by Sleep and Loco Roco were the two games I owned for it. And I think they remastered Loco Roco. They put it on PS4, and I am very happy about that. This wants to be angled like that. Okay. No, it doesn't. It wants to be like that. I had that upside down. No, it doesn't. Wait. There we go. It wants to be like that. I figured it out. Nice. All right. Oh, is this the point where they're technically different? Yeah, this is the point where they're technically different. Uh, I'm blanking out. We built that. We built that. We need B11 and A24. There it is. I need to play through all of Portable Ops as well. I haven't finished it. I haven't played all of it. I recall, it's been a little bit, but I recall Portable Ops feeling awkward playing by yourself. Like it felt like it was designed for co-op play on a console nobody owned, which always makes me sad. I like my PSP, but nobody owned the PSP. Except for me and my friend who originally lent me his PSP, which is when I played Peace Walker for the first time in the first place. Good times. And then I got it, and then we played together a couple times, and it was great. And he had endgame stuff and made the game a joke. He had, like, he could turn invisible. So that really trivialized the gameplay loop a bit. Alright, let me see here. You go like this? Yes, you go like that. No, you don't. You go like that. Yes, that lines up. Oh, look how nice that, like, lines up. Armor. Okay. And this goes in like that. Oh, so that just twists in place. That's amusing. Oh, that's so that it can... That makes sense. Okay. I'm assuming that's going to be... Oh! Cemented by... Yeah, that's going to be cemented by that once we get both those pieces on. And now... Oh, now we just assemble it. Oh, wait, not quite, because I didn't put this on. That's the hip joint. Then you go in... Whoops. Like that. Now you've got the leg assembled. Well, okay, except that I dropped a piece. Can like that. That's gonna go in like that. That is not gonna stay properly, is that? That actually makes me nervous. Hmm. Oh, you know what? That's not too bad. Yeah, that's not that bad. Okay. That leg's assembled. No, it's not. I forgot the foot. Oh, boy. There we go. Now that leg's assembled. Um, piping. Piping for this guy. Oh, that's the other thing. I expect them to butcher Metal Gear Solid 3 with the remake. Because what I expect them to do, I expect them to give it traditional third person, a typical third person shooter gunplay, and it's like, well, now you've missed the point completely. If they do that, I fully expect them to do that, and it's just gonna completely miss the point. Yeah, I got that in. Yeah, I just need piping and the leg piece. I saw some article. I'm trying to remember what it was. But I saw an article. I tend to ignore most articles, to be fair. I tend to look at the headlines just to kind of see what people are saying, and then ignore the content of the actual article. But they're saying something vaguely negative about the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, and I cannot remember what it was. I just think it's unnecessary and destroys the value of the original game in the process. Because you're taking landmark titles that were landmarks for a reason and then completely recreating them, and it's like, okay, cool. What's the point of holding on to the original now? As monumental as they were, you've now made them not matter. And I don't like that. It bothers me. So I feel that way, especially with like the wait. Oh yeah, there we go. um Shadow of the Colossus is a really big one for that. Shadow of the Colossus was legendary back on the PS2 because they did things on the PS2 that, like, graphically, it was insane on the PS2 when that came out. And then you remake it on the PS4 with PS4 graphics, and it can physically do way more than the original game ever could. And now the original game looks like nothing, and I don't like that. Like, I can still look back and appreciate it because I remember what a PS2 looked like. But, you know, you got people saying that GBO2 looks like a PS2 game. And it doesn't. So. Oh, there's one more piece. C1. C1. There we go. That's the last piece I need. I need to finish Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus is an amazing game. One of my favorites. I need to finish that. I got stuck on Ico, so I really need to go back and revisit that. Okay, you want to be... Okay. It's got a nifty little arrow telling me which direction is front. You can't see it. Sad. Okay. But it's got a little arrow that points front. That's kind of funny to me. Oh, those come out pretty easily. That's good. That's good because I need them to come off to put on the leg missiles. So I'm glad they come off as easily as they do. Alright, there we go. We got the legs done. Yeah. So now we do have a complete Zaku now. It's just unequipped. So that's awesome. That makes me happy. I really like the F2. I think the F2, I think the colors are cool. I could say something about, I think the F2 is a really cool design. It's a Zaku 2. And I think the Zaku 2 is a really cool design. But, like, visually, it's not that much different from any other Zaku 2. It's just has a different color scheme. And development history. There's of course, like, all that to go into as well. But the big thing is it has different colors, and it's a Zaku 2, and it looks cool, because Zaku 2s are cool. I'm happy. I have an F2. So, but we are almost 3 hours in. Oh, boy. So, we're going to go ahead. He's going to stay on my desk now, but we're going to go ahead and leave that there for now. We will be back. Well, we'll see when we're back. Hopefully next week. I will know more later in the week, but hopefully next week we'll be able to come through and wrap this up. I've just got the weapons to put together. Should I even dedicate a whole stream to that? I don't know. We've just got the weapons to put together, so maybe I will. Maybe I'll grab the Megami device kit I still haven't finished and wrap that up too, but we'll see. We'll see. But it's getting a little bit late in the day for me here, so I have to wrap this up here. We'll have it finished in one more stream. But thanks for showing up. I had fun. One more stream. Just one more. Actually, one more this time, though. Oh my gosh. And I'll talk less about Metal Gear Solid next time. I will save that for when I actually play Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid is great, though. You should play the first one. It's my favorite, which is... It's really funny, actually. So, okay, last thing, I promise. It's really funny to me, like, what is the best Metal Gear Solid game? Because it's kind of controversial, right? My favorite's 1. I love Metal Gear Solid 1. It's my favorite of the game. Do I think it is objectively the best game in the entire series? Not exactly. I really like it because I think it has the best level design out of all of the games. Just the way the enemy mapping is laid out, the way all the sight lines are laid out, it has my favorite level design out of the entire series, and so it's my favorite as a result, right? I think 2 really refines the gameplay of 1, so much so, to the point that I would say objectively, from a design perspective, from like a mechanical perspective, Metal Gear Solid 2 is the best of the franchise. Absolutely. 1's my favorite because I prefer its level designs over 2's. I think 2's is a little bit, just a little bit. Just a little bit. I think 2 is a little bit more linear. And so that makes me like 1 more in terms of its room layout. But 2 improves design-wise on just about everything 1 did. So I think 2 deserves its spot when people say, like, it's better than 1, it's designed better, whatever, right? Because that's a thing, right? It absolutely did improve on what 1 did. So I do think 2 is a better designed game overall. Absolutely think that's fair. 3 is the other one, though. A lot of people go, it's 2 or it's 3. That's 2 camps. Or 2 is the best one, 3 is the best camp. And it's a bit of a... I've seen argument about it. And I think it's a little bit weird. I love 3. I think 3 is one of the best ones in the franchise. 3 is different than 2. 3 completely mixes up the formula by taking a lot of... Like, first of all, it takes the design stuff that's in 2, but it reframes the level design, where 1 and 2 are a lot of internal terrain. 3 is external. A lot of like 1 and 2 is going through facilities. It's entirely facilities, actually. 3 is wilderness. So it's a completely different framing of the stealth elements. Things like camouflage mechanics are not present in 1 and 2 because they don't matter there. Because it's internals, it's industrial terrain, it's not wilderness survival, it's not hiding in thickets and eating tree frogs. Very different thing. So 3 is its own beast entirely. I think it's weird to argue about it, because I think every single one, as I feel like I laid out right here, every single one has something different to look forward to, every single differently, and has different things that make it unique and interesting. Again, 1 has my favorite level design, 2 is just one of the best developed ones of the franchise, and 3 reframes the entire stealth dynamics. And then Peace Walker's actually the best game ever, fight me. I kid, sort of. Peace Walker does a lot of really good stuff with its mechanics. Peace Walker is held back by the platform, both because you have to claw grip on the thing. You're like controlling it like this in order to play it, because you've got you're aiming here, moving here. These are your face buttons, and it's weird because it's a PSP game, so you've got control problems there, right? Which are wrapped up with the remaster that they released on, PS3, Xbox, I think it was? Because then you've got 2 sticks, so that wraps up your claw grip problem, which if you're used to playing Monster Hunter, you're used to the claw grip anyway, but I digress. And then it's limited performance-wise because of the console as well. Its maps are great, but really, really condensed because it's on a PSP. And it does not have the processing power to handle the larger maps that you would see on any other Metal Gear Solid game. Technically, with the exception of 1, but then you got to keep in mind graphical stuff, right? I'm going to leave it there. Because I can go on and on about that stuff. Anyways, 1, 2, and 3 are fantastic games. Yeah. I'm going to leave it there because I can talk all day about Metal Gear Solid. Thanks for showing up. It was great having you. I had fun. We'll finish this up next time. We'll have just one more stream, I promise. The weapons will be knocked out in like 30 minutes probably, so it's not even going to be a whole stream for that. I don't know how to end a stream. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.